Hi, welcome to another episode of Craig's Corner. I'm Craig, and I just have an insight from a regular Catholic guy. For this video, I've decided that I wanted to take an approach to Lent as it seems to be coming up around the corner. And I've seen a lot of people's posts on Facebook and YouTube and things like that asking, what kinds of things that they should be in for when it comes to practicing Lenten practices. The practice of Lent is a very old tradition in the Catholic Church, and it has a lot of different meanings for us. One of the most important meanings is the preparation for Easter, which is the resurrection of Christ, and the most important feast in the Catholic Church, and definitely one of the building blocks of our faith. Another reason that Lent is so important is because it prepares us for self-sacrifice, just the way that Christ did on the cross. But most importantly, I think that Lent prepares us spiritually to prepare for the hardships throughout the rest of the year. Many times people will look at the season of Lent and say, "Well, I've got to give something up. I'll give up candy or I'll give up pop." Good sacrifices, because candy and pop are definitely things that we could do without. Myself, I have been without pop for 5 years now, and with the exception of the occasional one here or there, but for the most part, 5 years. And I feel that when you prepare for a Lenten sacrifice, that it needs to be something that and it needs to be something deep, something that will have an impact on your life. And a Lenten sacrifice should be something that you don't return to when the Lenten season is over. So a lot of people, when they give up those chocolates, when it comes to Easter morning, there's an all-out gorge fest on all the chocolates that they missed out on during the previous 40 days. The meaning of Lent can be best summarized by the practice of doing an act of charity, doing an act of almsgiving, and doing an act of prayer. The act of charity is something that we should practice constantly. It's one of the core tenets of being a Christian, but it's something that most people put on the back burner until Thanksgiving or Christmas, when the secular world recognizes charity as a necessity. Something that Christians should be called to is charity year-round, not just during the peak seasons. And something as simple as donating food to your local food bank, working at the local homeless shelters, being a tutor, collecting recyclables, giving extra money during your church offering, adopting a child abroad. There's a lot of those services through Catholic Charities that you could send money to children in need. Many other different opportunities lie within your own particular parishes that you could do charity work with. You could just ask your parish secretary or your pastor for more opportunities on those. Charity for us means that we give something of ourselves to somebody else, something that really reminds us of what charity is. We recall in the gospel readings the old widow who brings in her 2 pittance for the collection. She walks into the temple behind these other rich Jewish men of the time, and the rich Jewish men are all throwing in large quantities of coins. And they use these big vats. They were, about 3.5, 4 feet tall and about a foot in diameter. And they were made of kind of this ceramic material. So when you throw coins into them, they really rattle. They make a lot of noise. It was a big tradition for for people of the Jewish faith to throw in a lot of money into those urns, because then that would tell everybody how blessed they were by God, how much material wealth they have accumulated because of God's blessings, and how well off they were. And then comes along this little old widow who puts in basically 2 pennies into this big vat, and they don't make much of a sound. So Jesus points out to his disciples. He says, look at all these people who have given of their material wealth, and this widow who has given all that she has. Who has made the greater sacrifice? And the disciples respond, of course, the old widow does. And why is that? Because she didn't give of her surplus wealth, she gave of her being. The church does not ask us to give away all of our material wealth, and doesn't ask us to give up completely all of our money and worldly assets. The church asks us to give in a place that is difficult for us because it inspires growth. So for some people, it may be very difficult to give away clothing because they have so much. It's a good thing that we go through our wardrobes periodically and pick out things that we just don't wear or we don't need and donate them to a worthy cause. Another thing that's really good for us to do, and a good practice, is called rice boxing. A lot of parishes will have little rice bowls that they pass out during the Lenten season, and instead of going out to eat one night, you would put the money that you would have spent on the nice meal into the box, and you do that periodically throughout the Lenten season, and then donate those proceeds to the parish at the very end of the drive. These are all good practices that you can put into your daily Christian worship as you prepare for the ultimate sacrifice, that is the sacrifice of the cross on Calvary, Easter Day. The second thing that we really need to focus on during the Lenten season is the contribution of almsgiving. Many times people feel that people that aren't so well off are that way because of laziness or other things, but it is not the Christian call to judge people. The Christian call is to help those in need and to help the less fortunate. And we can do that by not only just giving money, but again, giving those material goods like I had mentioned before, the food, the clothing, even in some cases shelter. If you know a friend that is down on their luck and they need a place to stay. I had a person living here with me for a couple of days as he was transitioning to a new home environment, and I felt a strong spiritual need to take care of him in his time of need. So there are a lot of things that we can do in the almsgiving category as well. And of course, there's always the collection basket that goes around at church, and the collection basket sends money to a lot of different charities and organizations if you don't want to do that yourself. But do remember that the church asks that we give 1/10 of our weekly income as a tithe, and out of that, each diocese varies individually, but most dioceses say that 8% of that should 8% of our income should go to the church and 2% to a charity of our choice. If you aren't practicing the practice of tithing this Lent, it would be a good thing to start up, and that can be something that you continue after Easter begins. And then finally, and probably the most important of the 3 tenets, is the act of some sort of spiritual growth in your life. Lent is a time where we get to set aside the worldly practices and say, okay, I need to reconnect with God, and what have I done in the past year where I've lost out on something like that? Several things that you can do. You can pick up a rosary and start praying the rosary every other day or every couple of days. Another good thing is picking up scriptures, reading a passage from the scriptures every day. Those are good things to get involved with. I particularly enjoy the Liturgy of the Hours. The Liturgy of the Hours provide us daily psalms throughout the day in which we can really reflect on our spiritual lives and grow in connectedness with God. A good friend of mine said that we can't do the work of the Lord if we forget the Lord of the work. This basically means that a lot of people get caught up in saying that they're gonna blaze the trail for God. They're going to put in all this work, all this effort, but then they forget to pray. They forget to go to mass. They forget to do the things that nourish the soul. And if we don't have a nourished soul, it makes it very hard to sustain these other activities with great zeal, with great passion. So uh, I would ask you that you set aside some time and think about your relationship with God and what you could do to make it better. And so for this Lent, this is our challenge. We want to think of something that we could do for an act of charity, an act of almsgiving, and an act of spiritual growth. And with that, I thank you for your time. This has been another episode of Craig's Corner. Have a great day.